Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. I'm going to give you my financial opinions on what's going on. And again, if you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That is where we have a community. We've got a Discord channel. Got all that stuff on there. If you need any help with this commodity bull market, and potentially selecting individual companies. I do show a lot of individuals there. So take a look and see what's going on markets. So we've got a pullback in dollar. I know those yields, they were moving higher, uh, especially during the beginning of the day. And you can see the movement of the dollar up in the beginning of the day. See that spike? And then it came back down with momentum to the downside at this moment. Is the momentum going to continue coming back lower? Now, looking at this chart and the rising wedge, I think it might head lower over the next, whatever the short term is. We'll see if that occurs. We've got the 2-year yield. You can see that we also had a little bit of a false move. So it really moved in the morning, gapped up. The momentum is coming to the downside. That's what that big wick is at the top. So are we going to come back and pull back in the shorter end of the curve? Could. That would also mean that the yield curve is uninverting to some extent and get a slowdown of some potential. 10-year yield, we also have that wick at the top. Generally, you see these towards a reversal point where it could potentially head lower. Are we going to get that turn? Is that in the bag here? Not yet. But there's your move higher, and then there's your momentum coming back down. You have to see where it takes us the next few days. A lot of the times this is a reversal candlestick and it could head lower. And we're seeing it across the 2-year, the 10-year, and the 30-year, and EXY. So we could potentially turn here. And what that is kind of like a squeeze here, a false breakout, and a slingshot to the downside. That's where I come with these cheetah patterns. This is what it looks like. It's that line going across there. And again, haven't broken down yet, but the momentum is coming back down. There's a reason it went up and above and sold back off throughout the day. TYX TNX ratio, there was still a little bit of inversion going on in the curve today. That's why it was down 0.3%. But to me, if I were to take a longer term guess here, guys, I think this could uninvert. Looking at the dollar, looking at the 2-year, looking at all that stuff, looking at that we could be popping on patterns to some degree. I think this could uninvert. And what does that mean? What value does that bring to me? Knowing that this curve could uninvert. I think gold's going to take off. That is what happens when the yield curve uninverts. Gold could take off, which is a possibility. Now, we could stay down here for longer and go sideways. That's another possibility. So it may not be immediate, but we're looking to see if this is going to uninvert. That's what we're looking at. To know that the yield curve uninversion has an impact on the pricing of assets. That gold, one that does very well in this type of market condition. Bonds getting sold off, the 20-year bond pricing, the price is going down. That still looks to be intact. We did have a little bit of momentum coming back up throughout the day. Not a huge momentum move in this looking like a bottoming pattern yet. But yields do look like they could be first. So who's right? Don't know. Seems like I don't have full alignment across everything, which makes it very difficult. Generally, bond prices should mimic yields, and that should mimic the gold price, mimic the DXY, and you're looking for an alignment between all these. And some of them are somewhat out of phase. Gold up today, and it does look like to me that this is trying to put it bottom and higher. You can see, generally speaking here, let me back out a little bit further. This is a downward move. This is your basing pattern. And saw a nice kind of move off this base here. And it did break. draw another trend line going across here. Did break that trend line there, and probably going to find support right on top, and we could move to the upside. Now, it's all short-term pricing movements here that I'm doing. They can be pushed either way. But if you were to ask me, just like a bottoming pattern, I'd say yes, this looks like it wants to go higher. If yields fall and the dollar falls, I do think that gold's going to go up. So hopefully all this is in alignment that we're looking for. Silver, that's not waiting around for anybody. It's ripping, looking very good. You can see this is the pattern that we see on silver. You can kind of touch those guys off. We were bottoming here on the bottom side. Bottom, broke and moved to the upside here. And I think that we are going to go into uptrend. And we'll have to see how strong this uptrend is and how much force we've got the green army showing up. We want to see big green candlesticks. We can get a small red day next to us. I call that a bloody nose, but it's still a continuation pattern to the upside. So we'll see how it plays out. Platinum also getting that bounce. Is this to some degree the slingshot pattern where we dip down and then we shot back up? It very well could be. We won't know that until we look backwards, and I think it looks good. And then we got palladium that's also trying to fit in the mix, but momentum still the downside. Does not look like it's bottoming yet for palladium. Again, I think we're going in the 800s for palladium down here. XAU to gold ratio, this is another thing that we want to look at. Gold and silver mining companies are outperforming the precious metals. I said, what was it, a couple days ago, that sometimes we see gold and silver mining companies outperform the metals itself. It's people positioning, and it looks like they're still positioning in it. This could be a very big buying opportunity if you want to try to get early. Now, I know the technical analysis guys will say, wait for a breakout, wait for this, wait for that. Okay. You can also, you don't have to go all in at once. You can buy a little bit in some of your favorite companies, cost average in over the next, weeks, months, whatever it is. And that is an opportunity. CRB index getting a bounce. Did see strength today in crude oil. This is right at that support level that I was talking about. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was. And we could get a bounce here, and we'll see how sustaining bounce looks. CRB to S&P 500, still pulling back to some degree, but I do think work its way on up with time. And it still looks favorable for commodities to outperform commodities the long haul. GDX up a little bit, does have that kind of bottoming pattern, bullish engulfing yesterday. So we did move on up, and we'll see how sustaining this move is. GDX got the same thing, same with SILJ. Again, we still need some buying pressure, small selling pressure to turn this around. Not there yet. Crude oil up a little bit. It's right on support. The support line I drew is right underneath where its butt is sitting. It's sitting right on support. Luckily, I drew it there. Yeah, it's in that general area that I drew it. So we'll see if we can get some sustained move from here. This isn't a bottoming pattern yet, so we'll need to wait and see how this thing reacts. TTF gas, this looks really good. This is a bullish engulfing. That looks like it wants to go higher. So Dutch natural gas looks like it wants to go up. If we back out, this thing to me looks like it's trying to bottom here. And if we get a break out of this thing, I think we're going to run. Nat gas definitely hitting it hard here. We're breaking out of this resistance level. I think we're going to go higher in nat gas. And we had a pretty good day today and yesterday breaking out of that resistance area. So again, let's hope the momentum can continue. We very well could have a pullback before heading higher still. That is still in the cards, but I think over time, we're going to move on up. XOP, yeah, you know me. We're up today. Okay, we're up. I know it feels good. But again, we've got a lot of downside momentum here. And this isn't not in the clear yet. But I did see a lot of bullish formations in individual oil and gas companies and in the energy service sectors where this could continue on up. So again, We've been bouncing off this neckline. This is an inverted shoulder, head, shoulder. We're back up against that neckline, and there's some resistance there. We gotta keep picking off these sellers. Eventually, we'll break through and go to the motherland. OIH also up a little bit today. It does look like we're trying to put in some sort of bottom. There are a lot of technical patterns in individual companies that look pretty good. I want to see what bounce we get. Again, I'm a pretty big bull in oil in general and energy service, and we'll see if we can get this guy to come back to the upside. But we're early, early. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust coming on up today. We do have a little bit of a wick at the top, not a strong closing. Sometimes that can come back lower. This very well could come like that. It's a possibility. Maybe come back to this area down here with support. Look for it. Don't expect it. I'm not calling necessarily for that, but I'm just saying it that could be a good probability there that that does occur. You know, you start looking at URA, we're up again. Got to see if we get a strong move. It's an okay move today, but it's not that strong. Let's get real, guys. We do have the bullish engulfing here. Wait and see what other data we have over the next few days. And keep in mind, too, that some of these do have a little bit of kind of a head and shoulder potential where we come back down. It's possible. But if we rocket on up here, I don't think that's going to be the possibility. I think it'll nullify itself. But we are kind of at the top of this shoulder there, and we haven't really broken out yet. So I'm just holding my judgment. J is the same thing. We've got kind of a nice little neckline there potentially, and a shoulder head shoulder could develop here. We go lower. I'm not calling for it to go lower. And I'm not trading this by any means. I'm just riding on the long side. But again, markets don't go straight up. They don't go straight down. And we do have pauses at certain points. And if we rocket here and throw in a big fat candlestick, pretty fat actually, then it would nullify it. So we'll see what happens next trading session. We're also seeing a lot of really good movements in other sectors, which makes me think we could go higher and nullify those head and shoulder patterns. So this is a bullish engulfing. This looks like it wants to go up for TAN. Is this move done? You know, if I were to make a bet, I would say screw it, and I'd probably buy a little bit down here myself. Not advice, but and I'm not buying anything TAN. Just no. But if I like TAN, I would down here in the bullish engulfing and try to ride it up if you're a long-term investor. COPX also bouncing off that support level on the channel we've got, and it is bouncing to the upside. Again, hope the momentum continue. Lithium getting a nice little bounce today. It is a bullish piercing, and that could go back within the pattern. So we're seeing some strength looking at some of these other markets. REMX, another one that looks like it's trying to put in a bullish piercing where we could go higher. Bullish piercing is where your closing price gaps down and it closes above the 50th percentile of the candle before it. That's what a bullish piercing is. It's a reversal candle to go up. S&P 500 bullish engulfing. We could go higher here, guys. That's what I'm looking at. And tie together a topping in yields and the dollar. And we get these bullish engulfing patterns all across the board in a lot of these different sectors. We could be topping the short term for yields, dollar, and that's going to put a tailwind behind some of these assets. They're going to be repriced higher. Nasdaq bullish engulfing. Got two of them now, one there and one here. So I would say that's most likely going to go up. Now tie that in with your uranium. Uranium's probably going to go higher if this is bottoming. Even though I put those patterns in there, could potentially be shoulder head shoulder. You're only looking that in its solely, that single spot. You'd say, oh, it could go down, but you tie it to with the overall markets here. You tie it with yields. You tie it with the dollar. I think we're probably going to have a likelihood of potentially going up. KRE also trying to put in some sort of bottom here. Not really a bottoming candlestick or anything. Or the regional banking ETF. Emerging markets. What are we seeing here? What did I say? This is highly linked to the dollar. It's highly linked to yields. Those are going to fall. This is going to go up. Emerging markets going up today. A weaker dollar and yields. XHB throwing in the bullish engulfing. Now we're getting more evidence that we could be putting in some sort of bottom in home builders, S&P. It's all kind of interconnected. The whole market, it's all financialized, guys. It's all financialized. Evanek agribusiness probably putting in a bottom. It's a bullish engulfing to go higher. Seeing some strength in copper. Let's hope copper comes back and we dip out on a potential pullback or recession markets. But again, let's watch it. Iron ore putting in a update today, just moving sideways. I think iron ore is going higher. We've got the nice big green army showing up here with small red candlestick. Exactly what I look for. Nickel down a little bit. Again, I'm not throwing. This is the momentum to the downside. There's no reversal candlesticks. There's no green army. Watch out. Aluminum getting some buying pressure today, just a little bit, and it looks like maybe we'll try to reverse. A lot of the times, what it'll do is it'll gap down, a big fat candlestick. It'll give you your bullish engulfing, go higher on it. That's probably what's going to happen. Baltic Dry Index up. This guy is on fire, like I thought, going higher. We had the previous falling wedge, the breakout of the falling wedge, false breakdown, and it just went sideways. Most of the times, solve higher. Newcastle coal up 2%, down on the week, but again, this is basing out. I think coal would be a good spot to look at, especially if natural gas is going up like it is. Bitcoin up. Now, what is this pricing in? This pricing in like this is looking bullish here, guys. It's looking a lot more bullish. We get the green army, small red candlesticks, all looks good. I like how kind of like starting to create these little steps here. I like that. And the bullish engulfing today. That's pretty good. Is liquidity coming to the market? I don't know. Bitcoin's kind of saying, yeah, it is. Maybe. Again, still below this trend line here. Haven't broken out yet, but it's looking better. Same with Ethereum. Looks like we're getting a little bit of buying pressure in here. So is QE coming? Is stability of the bond markets coming? I don't know. That's what we're looking for. So overall, guys, it looks like we're trying to bottom here. S&P, NASDAQ, everything's looking good to move on up. So if we get a bottom, probably going to help our commodities, help some of those sectors as well. Weaker dollar for yields. That could also help gold, silver, and a lot of the precious metals arena as well. Is this the beginning of everything move? Could be. It depends what Powell does as well. If Powell just says kind of lets this thing floats around, or if he does QE to stabilize the bond market, however he calls it, I don't know what they're going to call this thing. We could see everything rally together. And I know people say, well, commodities outperform 500 and all that. They'll think that, and everything can go up. Commodity goes faster, and the destruction of purchasing power through the dollar. All of those things will be in play at some point, and it'll come from perhaps QE or money printing, whatever, or maybe he runs this thing where things start to crash to some extent, where he tightens. We get a slowdown, and then he does the QE, pulls the QE stimulus button. I don't know what it's going to look like. The guy obviously has a plan, I'm sure, or maybe he doesn't have a plan. Maybe just tighten until it breaks and then bust out the money printer. But again, that's what the markets are showing right now, and good to go higher short term. See what this bounce looks like. Give me a thumb up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time. This is Finding Value, and don't forget, we've got a Sunday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for the question and answer session on the website. See you there.